Jabberwocky. More like Jabberwonky. Jabberwocky is a movie from 1977. It is directed and co-written by Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame. He's kind of hit or miss for me. This one is just a near miss. Now, Monty Python and the Holy Grail was a huge success. It made a ton of money at the box office, and it really propelled Monty Python into movie stardom. When this movie was released 2 years later, it was billed as Monty Python's Jabberwocky, or at least for its release in the US. And Terry Gilliam didn't like that because, first of all, this movie was mostly him. Of course, it also stars Michael Palin of Monty Python fame, and briefly Terry Jones as well. But no, this movie is mostly just a Terry Gilliam movie. It has a medieval setting, similar to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's got knights in armor and that sort of thing, and it's got a dragon, or a Jabberwocky rather, and it is a comedy, but it is not nearly as funny as anything that Monty Python did. Like, there's some attempts at Monty Python humor in here, but it's not particularly Monty Python. It's just not silly enough. I mean, it is kind of absurd, you know, the things that are going on and the way that people are behaving, and it's, you know, typical kooky Terry Gilliam humor, but it's not quite Monty Python. Even with Michael Palin as our main protagonist, you'd think it would play out like a Monty Python movie. No, it just doesn't. It's mostly pretty boring. The premise of it is this. It takes place in the Middle Ages. There is a young cooper's apprentice named Dennis, played by Michael Palin, who inherits his father's, or rather doesn't inherit his father's business, and his father, on his deathbed, curses his name and disowns him, and just, you know, and then keels over and dies. So Dennis has a tough time finding his way in life. So he has to move from the countryside into the city, or rather to the castle. Also, there is a beast out there that is stalking and killing the people of the kingdom. So the king has to reluctantly accept all these refugees from the countryside into his castle. So it's like the big city. There's a lot of jokes about like commerce and trade, which is really boring, and about the king, who is this corrupt, inept ruler that doesn't know what to do about the monster ravaging the countryside. So he holds a tournament to the death, of course, to determine the champion that's going to go out and kill the monster. Which seems really dumb, because why wouldn't you just send out 10 guys instead of making them fight to find the best one? Send out all those 10 guys, go get that dragon. I mean, I don't really even want to get into it that much to talk about this movie, because it's not very good. It's not terrible, but in spots it can be terribly boring, because it's dry British wit, but it's just not that funny. It makes the same point over and over again, that the upper class is screwing the middle class and the lower classes, and just how absurd that people in power are. Meanwhile, tries to throw in a monster. Well, I guess it was like 15 feet tall or something like that, and it actually was animated by a person walking backwards in the suit, and then they had like a marionette puppet head, and it had like a weird beak and on it and stuff, and claws and teeth and all this. You only see the Jabberwocky for maybe about 30 seconds in the movie, and it doesn't look that good. Like, when you actually see it on screen, it's like, oh, that's what it is. Okay. Weird coming from Terry Gilliam. Like, why wouldn't he just animate the creature in there, or make the whole damn thing animated? I don't know, it would have worked like it worked in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and it added to the absurdity and the, you know, the crazy laughs that you get out of that movie. So why wouldn't he do it here? I mean, that's his trademark. Or maybe he wanted to get away from that and didn't want to be known as the cartoon guy. Well, I love those cartoons. Bring some more back. There are some laughs in it. There's some really lowbrow humor in here as well, but there's some spots where I had to laugh at it, like, because so stupid. But I don't know if I was laughing at all the parts that they really wanted me to laugh at. As I said, it's kind of more of a commentary on, like, the juxtaposition of, like, today's morals and values projected onto a medieval sort of setting and backdrop. Some of that worked. Some of it was really funny, like when they're watching the tournament. The king and the princess are watching this tournament of all these champions, and they're just killing each other like crazy, and there's blood being thrown everywhere and splattered all over them, and they're covered in blood by the end of the scene. And like, that was pretty funny, and they're just like, nonchalantly just sitting there and enjoying it. And so that's a little commentary. Like, you get a bunch of poop jokes and fart jokes and stuff. Dennis goes to visit the house of his his beloved, who doesn't even like him, and her father is upstairs shitting out the window into the swamp or whatever, and her little brother is taking a piss like right next to his head. Kind of like gross hygiene shaming medieval jokes. So I guess that was kind of funny, because I'm a sucker for those poop jokes, I tell you. But yeah, overall, I guess it just didn't deliver enough of those just out of nowhere kind of jokes. Too much of it is social commentary, if you ask me. That maybe a little bit thought-provoking, but not really funny, not really very entertaining to watch. I watched this on an old-ass VCR, an old-ass VHS tape, fully guaranteed by Blockbuster, of course. I watched it, and it was another one of those movies. It's got grainy film. There isn't a lot of color in this movie. It's maybe it's because of the film has degraded, or the videotape has degraded, I don't know. But it all looks really muddy and brown and dirty. And that's, overall, I think this is a dirty, ugly movie, and I didn't enjoy this. It's not terrible, but it really struggled to get laughs out of me. I'm going to give it a C+. C+, because, hey, I still like Terry Gilliam, and I like Michael Palin, and I like what they tried to do, but it just didn't work. So, yeah, C+. It's no holy grail. So until next time, folks, have a good one out there.